How you doing, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Greenside Experience. Today, we're in our project in Hinsdale that has an extremely upgraded electrical system. I'm gonna walk you through the types of can lighting, the types of smart system that we're using, home automation. It's the HomeWorks system. We've got Ketra cans, and everything is in conduit. A lot of you don't put your electrical in conduit in the residential market, but here in the Chicago area, everything is in conduit. Let's go take a look. Okay, so we're in the kitchen right now, and I want you to look at these can lights. These are not your standard can lights that you would put in a typical home. These are called Ketra cans. That's the name brand, Ketra. And they are an upgraded spark can. They are able to shine light in an array of different beams in different colors, and it's all adjustable via your phone. So here we've got the Ketra can. I'm also joined by Mile, my electrician from AMD Electric.
Hello.
He's gonna explain to us why these cans are a little bit different from the standard can. One thing I notice off the bat is the depth or the height. These fit in a low-rise area. They're not as tall as the standard can. They're probably half the size. So that's nice when we're trying to fit them into certain areas, or if there's other mechanicals running next to them or over them. The one negative, though, is they're much wider and much bigger. So when you're placing these, you really have to put a lot of thought into your joist layout. Almost every time you're gonna put them in, you're probably gonna have to move a joist or cut a joist or header it off, because it's just almost impossible to get the exact locations when your carpenter is laying out your joists. So inside this housing, there's multiple components. Here, where the actual light comes out, what do we call this again?
Lighting module.
The lighting module.
Or optic lens.
And it has a variety of different optic lenses that you can choose from that can adjust the size of the beam. It also has multiple trims, so you can get a round trim. You can get a flangeless trim, which muds into the drywall, which is what we're gonna do in this particular home. And you can also get them square shaped, which is what we're gonna have in this house as well. And then inside, in here, this is basically where the brains of the can light go. It's the module that communicates with the panel. Ours are in the basement. There's multiple panels in this house because we have so many smart cans, Ketra cans, and also switches, or as we like to call them, the keypads, and we'll show you those in a minute.
You said pretty much everything. You're well educated.
I didn't say the word amateur.
You're well educated.
In order to turn all these can lights on and off, and not just on and off, but actually have set scenes where the lighting conditions will change, be it color, be it a dimming brightness, all those are controlled by the keypads. So you can see here, we've got a keypad. Now this is an upgraded keypad from what you would normally see with the HomeWorks system. This is called an Ellipsi keypad. These are actually from Europe. So these European boxes need to be mounted to our American boxes, and there's no standard fittings that allow you to do that. So Mile had to custom make the connection from this box to the junction box. So basically he took a blank plate, got a tool to actually punch a hole into the blank plate, source these grommets to put in where the plate was cut so that the wires don't get cut or scratched, and then mounted the box. So now we have a firm connection from this Ellipsi box into our 1600 box.
1900.
1900?
Cut it off.
1900.
You're a builder, not electrician.
Now, this is the first floor of this house, and this has the upgraded keypads. There's a second type of keypads that we have on the second floor that are called Palladium. Those are also European, so they also required the same type of connection, but they have a little bit different look. So we'll go upstairs and we'll show you that. So now we're in the second floor, and one thing I also wanted to mention is all these keypads are connected together. They're low voltage, and you use this wire, right? So if it's low voltage, that means you don't have to have it in conduit. But since we like to do things the right way and the hard way, we actually ran conduit to all the keypads, and we're pulling the low voltage wire through this 3/4 inch conduit, which are all daisy chained together to, I think, how many can you put together? 8?
8 maximum per Lutron advice.
Yeah. You can daisy chain 8 of them together through this wire back to the panel to control them. But the beauty is we put it in conduit. So if there's ever a problem where, you know, this wire gets snagged, we can pull it, re-pull it through the conduit. If you're doing it just behind the drywall and you're not putting it in conduit and something happens, you just wiped out 8 switches or 8 keypads that don't work now because you cut one wire. And because there is so much smart home material in this house, circuits, zones, we actually had to put all of it into 3 different panels. We put 2 in the basement to cover the first floor and the basement, and then the second floor has its own dedicated panel. So let me show you what we have in here. All right, so we're in the closet of the closet, and this is where we decided to put the panel for the second floor. Now this is a panel from Lutron. It's a Homeworks panel, and you'll notice on the top we've got all the line voltage, all the 120 volt stuff coming in through the top, and that's gonna wire into the panel here, and that's where it's converted into the smart part, to the brains. And you'll see this panel came out and it's all pre-labeled. All the zones are pre-labeled because a lot of thought went into the start of this, of what keypads are going to control what lights and what zones. So the beauty is it comes out labeled already. So when Miele wires this panel together, he'll know where to put his wires, which ones to hook up, where to put them, and which zone they're on. So we're here in the stairwell, and this stairwell goes all the way from the basement all the way up to the 3rd floor. So I'm standing here in the 2nd floor, and as you can see through these beautiful Anderson windows, this space is flooded with light, right? But at nighttime, we don't have any sunlight, right? I think that's true. So we've got this hallway lit up with, these are actually Juno cans. So we don't have the Ketra in here. That's to save a little bit of cost. But those are pretty unique as well. I call them canless cans because they essentially just have a ring or a housing, and then they allow you to go into a shallower area. So essentially, the reason for all this is because this can is going into our sport court. We'll show you that in a second. This can, they wanted a nice flush look in the sport court instead of having these big, giant, kind of industrial looking lights. They went with this high output, that's the best word to describe it. It's a high output can light. So this little LED puts out a ton of light, more than your normal can. And because of that, it creates a lot of heat. So you see on the top of this, all these fins, that's to help cool this unit because it's going to get pretty darn hot when it's lighting up the sport court. All right, so here I am again in a deep sport court. These sport courts seem to be the standard nowadays around here, but I am in a 20-foot deep sport court. I am below the garage. You can see our ceiling is framed down below the precast concrete. That precast concrete is holding up all the cars and everything that you have in your garage. And those lights that I showed you earlier, those can lights, are set equally in the ceiling, and I'm gonna light up this entire space. And then the designer is actually in the middle of designing a decorative ceiling, yes, a decorative ceiling for a sport court, so that we can have a perimeter LED light in some sort of design around the edge and kind of give the ceiling a little bit of pizzazz. So as we walk into the mechanical room here in the utility room, I just want to show you our radiant heat system. So we're coming into winter, and even though this house isn't drywalled yet, I have the heat kicked on in the radiant heat in the floor of the basement and the sport court. So it'll help heat up the house, and also it dries out the concrete. Since this is a deep sport court, you're going to get moisture down there, and turning on the radiant heat just dries it basically instantly. So you can see here we've got our boiler, high efficiency boiler. It's connected to all our zones. These are the pumps for all the zones, and then that gets distributed to the different areas of the basement. All right, so I am here with Matt from Smarter Home and Melee from AMD Electric. Matt's going to give us a quick rundown of what this homework system is and what it's capable of and what it can do. So Matt, take it away.
Yeah, so Lutron really provides the ultimate in lighting control for the house, both artificial, which is all the lights in the house, and then also natural light because they have shade control. And so Lutron has a few different lines of product. This is their highest line called Homeworks, and it uses both high voltage and low voltage wiring to basically give you control throughout the entire house of all the light fixtures. And when I say control, that allows us to dim, that allows us to, in this case, we're using Ketra, which is another one of Lutron's high-end product lines, that allows us to actually change the color texture and the color hue of the lights throughout the day. So it can actually mimic daylight throughout the day, and as it gets darker in the evening, it'll actually dim and do all that stuff. And so one of the nice things that Lutron has are keypads. And so this is an example of one of their high-end keypads. This is just a printout. I wish I had some that I could actually show you. But it gives us the ability to program scenes. And so you'll see I have all on, bright, relax. And instead of going into a room and having 8 or 10 different light switches that you have to actually toggle on, toggle off, and change the settings, we have the ability to just hit one button and get to that exact mode that we want to be on throughout the day. Here in Illinois, we pipe everything by code. Ultimately, it comes into these DIN modules, and then we run low voltage cable back up to these keypads for control. And so there's some other sensors in here like wireless radios. Some of the light fixtures require 0 to 10 voltage, and so Lutron really has a solution for any type of fixture that you throw at it. And so that's what we have here in these panels, is really the brains behind the operation. And then this can hook up to app control, voice control, we can do motion control, we can geofence it, so when someone leaves the house, lights can automatically turn on or turn off. Other times you're walking through the house and you want to just be able to give a command like, hey, turn on the family room or turn off the bedroom lights. And so this system really allows the flexibility to give you that option. Plus you can control it from your phone app as well.
All right, so that'll do it for this episode of the Greenside Experience. Hopefully you got a good overview of the Lutron system Homeworks. Now, we don't put this in every house we build because it is quite expensive. What you see here, it's quite involved. You can do different versions of this and different levels where you're not automating so many different components and so many different lights. Maybe you just want to do 1 or 2 rooms, or maybe you want to do 1 floor. That would be less expensive, obviously. And you don't have to get these Ketra cans, but the fact that this house has all this automation is just going to be an unbelievable killer house. I can't wait to show it to you when we're done. But in the meantime, if you like this video, like, click, subscribe, and comment. I don't know, I still can't get that right, but we'll see you on the next one.